versus Floowandereeze.
Floowandereeze, that off-meta pick that I'm talking about, Ryan always brings something a little unexpected. He's trying to focus down on slowing the game and just win off of the amount of recursion that, like, I mean, I suppose the Snake Eye deck has plenty of recursion itself, not necessarily as much without the Fire King cards, but Floowandereeze is the peak recursion, right? If you can get as many turns as possible, you can just keep summoning those monsters, get as many M-pins on the field, really just focus down all the power in the deck. And you can really shut your opponent out because you don't care about the graveyard. You're allowed to play those cards like Dimension Shifter, even Dimensional Fisher as well.
Oh, absolutely. But we haven't seen any of that yet, so it may not be in the hand. Looks like we're just going to start with a Bonfire, grabbing a Snake Eye Ash.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Be able to resolve both those cards is going to be the most potent hand that you can have in the Snake Eye strategy, being able to see access to the Divine Temple as well as having access to the original Sinful Spoil. So I think we're going to see a lot of synchro plays happening from here on out, maybe.
Absolutely. Now, for those of you watching at home who might be confused about the configuration of the board, remember that if you are left-handed, you can always request an accommodation from a judge, and so that's why we're seeing the graveyard and the field zone swap there.
Awesome.
All right, Xu trying to move as quickly as possible here, try to get the game going. Maybe having a little bit of matchup knowledge, knows that he might need the additional time to try to grind his way through this matchup.
Certainly the players have been able to kind of take a look at what everyone is playing. This is very much a normal tournament scenario where you're able to kind of get up, walk around a little bit. So he might know exactly what's on the opposing board and just trying to get set up as fast as he can and doing a great job of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's something we definitely don't see every day. Parallel Exceed, this has been gaining some popularity from some regional lists. You're able to immediately put 2 level 4 monsters, even though they are naturally level 8 when they come out on the field by Parallel Exceed's effect. They do become level 4, and you're immediately able to go into that rank 4 monster. I personally like Dweller and Baguska, but this is the Banshee that's able to add any Pyro from your deck to your hand.
Not a bad idea, right? We know that Fontaine from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX gave us Bonfire, but there were other cards allowing you to search Pyros before, so it's just wild to be able to see that. Shunping showing that he's really thinking about the extra deck the same way that he piloted Dragon Link. Well, now he's got some great Xyz plays too.
Not trying to go any slower. Immediately links away the Link Revo and the Banshee into the Little Knight. Looks like Little Knight is going to banish the Banshee here.
Ooh. Fertile Flame Banshee just going ahead and getting to the banishment there, but already summoned back.
All right, this is a lot of bodies generated already. So adding the Birch to his hand so he's able to extend even further. There's not even the effect of Ash being used to go ahead and special summon another Snake Eye monster from the deck just yet. Looks like we're going to see the Little Knight, the Birch, as well as the Banshee link away, I imagine, to the Apollo. Yep, that's Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess.
24.
Absolutely gorgeous card, and really important because we've seen how important it is to get ahead of those Nibiru's. We've seen plenty of summons, although we really haven't seen much from Ryan. Not sure what kind of poker face this player might have, but he does seem like he's just kind of hanging out, waiting for his turn to happen, and it's going to be a little difficult to play through the various effects of Appaloosa.
Yeah, Appaloosa, one of the few things that I think the Snake Eye deck can do, naturally at least, that is a hindrance to the Floowandereeze strategy. You don't really care too much about the destruction or the general removal, but like the effect negation is definitely what you want to look out for. So Ryan's probably not too happy about having to face the Appaloosa. And typically in the Floowandereeze strategy, you're not going to be playing something along the lines of Nibiru because you can't afford to special summon ever if you want to keep using your Floowandereeze effects.
You absolutely just need to normal summon and normal summon. But the reason why you get that many normal summons is because each of those Floowandereeze effects is giving you an additional normal summon. But if Appaloosa is going to be negating those card effects, well, you're not going to get that initial normal summon. So, unfortunately, you're only going to get that one bird, and they will not flock together.
All right, looks like Snake Eye Ash is going to be able to use its effect, sending that Poplar from face up on the field, summon the Snake Eye Oak from the deck, Oak effect, going to be able to target the Snake Eye Birch, bring it out from the graveyard, and finally, we're going to use that Diabellstar that was added in the beginning of the turn from the Wanted. Not going to need to get a Flame Birch from the deck, just going to use the one that was set. Oh, and we're going to be able to set the trap card here.
I think that might be the first time that we're actually seeing Sinful Spoils of Betrayal Silvera.
Yeah, this one, if you're not familiar with it, because I know I hasn't really seen a whole lot of play yet, allows you to negate a card effect as long as the Diabellstar is face up on the field.
It's funny, actually, to keep Diabellstar on the field because we're so used to her just kind of saying hi and then bye. You know, obviously that's part of the strategy. But again, yeah, being able to, you know, negate those opponents' effects just for already playing your favorite deck is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of these players came into this tournament expecting to play against Floowandereeze, but if you're trying to make a board that's good into the Floowandereeze strategy, this might be it.
Definitely feels like it. And now we're finally seeing the Monster of the Hour. It's Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames.
Going to be able to bring back that Flame Birch and likely going to be able to use that IP Masquerena just with Flame Birch's effect. And just being able to bridge into that earlier in the play. Now you're finally going to be able to make that last Link 4 monster, unless you want to leave the Princess on the field. I imagine you don't want to if you want to bring up that IP Masquerena, but there is a consideration to leaving Birch on the field because Birch does have an effect on the opponent's turn exclusively to special summon from the deck as well. Oh, so yeah, you're going to be able to leave the Birch when you're able to use Simple Spell spells, and I didn't realize he had not used yet.
Which is amazing because now the Bestower of Flames is in the graveyard, so the second a monster gets special summoned, you could destroy a fire and one of those Floowandereeze. So not only would you be able to negate the effect, but if there's any special summons at all that happen in this duel, Bestower's ready for that too.
It looks like Xu actually does not play a copy of Jet Synchron, because I imagine you would go for that here. So opting to just really focus on Link summons and I guess the additional interruptions from cards such as the Betrayal Severia.
Ah, the player who invented Dragon Link playing Link summons? Who'd have thought?
It looks like one final card drawn off the wanted here just to keep generating all that value.
It is quite a bit on the field there, and it does show you that each of these players is playing this deck almost completely different. There are lots of nuanced variations on it, and that's what shows that these are the best duels in the world. They also have different opinions from one another, and there's no wrong way to duel, but right now I think this may be wrapping things up.
Yeah, I mean, it is like week 2, right, of these cards being legal. Not everything has been figured out yet. We've seen a lot of minds. This is the interesting thing about a tournament like this where it's so small. Normally, a lot of players like to work together, and they want to try to make the best board possible, or like rather the best strategy possible. But oftentimes when you have this many players that are going to play against each other in such a small tournament where you know you're going to play against pretty much every single one of them, you don't want to talk to any of them, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that might be why we were taking a look at the graveyard for the Infernal Flame Banshee. You think to yourself, maybe I should try this sometime. But that's not going to go in a Floowandereeze deck, so let's see if the... Oh, no. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that was plenty of interruptions on the field, and I think Ryan did want to show off in this game, being able to start, just why an anti-meta choice like Floowandereeze could win here.
Definitely excited to see it. Let's see what he starts with first.
It's a great start, Floowandereeze map here. Going to be able to reveal Eaglin.
Oh, goodness. So he's going right in.
It looks like, I imagine it's a Rubina, but it might not be. Oh, it is a Rubina. Okay, very good.
Banish our Rubina. Go ahead and grab that Rubina back.
Eaglin's going to be able to resolve, going to be able to add a, what is it, level 5 or higher?
Believe so. It's not every day you see Floowandereeze. I'm sure the master duelists in the chat definitely are feeling it, but it's great to see M-Pen there too.
Right, so we have M-Pen back in hand. He is granted another normal summon along with that Surge, and is going to be used on Rubina. Rubina is going to be met with Ash Blossom.
Oh, but speaking of the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, that is going to stop Rubina in its tracks, so it's not adding that level 4 lower Winged Beast to the hand.
Normally that stops your chain of normal summons that come in addition to the effects, but because of the effect of map, you have an additional normal summon as well, so you can keep this chain going with the M-Pen here. M-Pen Chainlink 1, Eaglin Chainlink 2. Eaglin's going to be able to go back to the hand.
Hits keep on coming, but nothing seems to be going on Shunping's side. The Ash Blossom was certainly a valiant effort, but it looks like we are furthering Floowandereeze.
And Eaglin, what do you think M-Pen's going for here? You have a couple options, right? Normally it's something along the lines of Dreaming Town. Maybe you want an Advent to just try to keep your plays going. Sometimes you want to get the continuous spell to be able to tribute your opponent's cards or even cycle some cards from your hand, but it looks like we are just going straight for that Dreaming Town, which is going to be able to, in your opponent's main phase, give you a normal summon, which is going to be able to start this chain all over again. But let's not forget about its secret effect in the graveyard. When you conduct a tribute summon, you can banish it, set all of your opponent's monsters face down.
And that's so strong because obviously with a Link summon-based deck, as Shunping showcased all those fine Link monsters, you cannot conduct a Link summon when the monsters are face down. So you're absolutely right about this anti-meta pick. It's not just about banishing the graveyard, it's also about interrupting those options and making sure you can't summon. So Shunping's got a lot cut out for him, but he's going to go ahead and draw now.
Okay, there's one monster in that hand. It is a copy of Snake Eye Poplar. But we do have one, and there's plenty of engine as well.
Yes.
Still no shifter from Ryan Murakami here. Not ideal for the Floowandereeze strategy.
Obviously, that's what got you, this far. That's what you wanted to see in this deck, but we haven't seen it just yet. Looks like we are bonfiring.
The Wanch is going to grab the Diabell Star here. I mean, do you even lead with the Poplar now, or do you just give it up? You have Infinite Impermanence, which is... I mean, it's still very useful in the M-Pen, because remember, M-Pen does not allow the effects of special summon monsters in attack position to resolve.
That's true. It's true. It's almost its own little floodgate in and of itself. It's a monster that really just stops the waters from flowing. And yet, Shunping is taking a little moment to think there. So obviously, M-Pen is going to kind of slow things down here.
I mean, as far as the... M-Pen is at least a little bit more manageable because you're able to summon a Flame Bridge in defense and just push it down. But It looks like we're going to just be leading with the duel star, holding the infinite impermanence in hand for following turn.
Summon successfully. I'll summon target Ash.
Poplar is going to be able to leave itself in the graveyard, go after a different fire monster with the Ash Blossom.
Channel 3.
And there is the Featherstorm!
Oh, man. Harpy's Featherstorm, obviously one of the best Floowandereeze cards ever printed.
Yeah, you know, if it's one bird, they're all the birds, right?
Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. I'm sure the Harpies would get along with them just fine.
I think the entire point of Floowandereeze is all the friends he made along the way. Surely there's one Harpy in there.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to attempt to keep playing, going to be able to put the Birch on the field by giving up the Duel Star, which means you already opened this Info Spoil, so the Duel Star wasn't going to be getting too much value anyway, and you are able to cycle for a draw here with that Wanted now. Try to just preserve as many resources as possible. Try to, I think, what you're really looking for is a copy of Divine Temple now, so as soon as Ryan starts playing, he's going to be able to play as well. Temple's going to be able to push up a monster from the back row.
It's wild that all of these powerful cards meant to stop plays such as Ash Blossom and Harpy's Featherstorm haven't really done a lot to change the tempo of the duel. Really, this is about the deck itself. That's what's carrying the duel.
Now Ryan still has that Dreaming Town. As soon as Xu attempts to leave the main phase here, he's going to be potentially able to summon another copy of Empen, or maybe just climb up into something along the lines of Mist Valley Apex Avian, just to have an interruption set on the field before having to start his own turn. Yep, there's Eaglin, and there's the Rabina.
Now that Dreaming Town paid off.
He's also, if he does conduct a Tribute Summon, able to reset that Birch, so Birch won't even have an effect to attempt once it comes to Ryan's turn.
Certainly helps that it really is just a series of heads-up plays, and I think this is obviously what we were hoping for before. Taking a quick look at the graveyard before we search our deck. Finally getting to bring out that level 4 Winged Beast. Can't quite make that up from the bottom corner, but I'm sure we'll get to see it soon.
Yeah, in Shunping's graveyard, there's a Poplar, an Ash Blossom, and a Duel Star. Oh, and Ryza is just going to go after the couple sets here.
So Ryza will target this and this top to deck, and then I'll target that to hand.
Great to see Rise of the Mega Monarch doing what it does best.
Yeah.
Certainly going to slow down Shunping.
Anything else or nothing? Nope. And then what was it? Eaglin.
Yep. Being able to fully resolve the chain here, Eaglin will go back to hand. That's what really makes the Floowandereeze so powerful, right? The inevitability, all these cards just giving themselves right back to the player.
No, it's a very strong deck, and it's a very strong series of cards. You're absolutely right. I mean, you can see Floowandereeze in the Dreaming Town. It really is about the friends that it makes along the way. Sort of a migration circle in all the places you go in between. But speaking about going in between, we're going to Monster Reborn, the Snake Eye Poplar.
Which still can't activate its effect. Okay, yeah, I was about to say, you still cannot activate its effect, right? The Birch is going to be able to re-special summon itself because of fire is on the field. So back to being a live effect now.
Okay, yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Love seeing that Monster Reborn, by the way. It's a great picture, great art.
Yeah, sorry. And these.
You know, when you're playing such an anti-meta strategy such as Ryan, you think part of doing so is, you know, like placing the cards like he does, so unorganized, just to maybe more so infuriate your opponent, because I know it infuriates me.
It's definitely one of those things where obviously the judges, you see, they're making sure that everything is exactly where it's supposed to be zone-wise, but he also may just be playing fast and loose. He's excited. Maybe he smells the blood in the water because he's able to get all these effects off, and obviously Shunping hasn't done as much. We are going back into the deck here, just cycling through.
Yep, going to be able to use the map again, get access to a different normal summon. Going to go for the the Stree here. Stree's effect is to normal summon and banish a card from either graveyard and then get that additional normal summon.
Sure.
Stree's going to be added back to hand. Eaglin is going to be able to resolve. I wonder which big tribute he's going to go for now.
I think we've seen every one of the Floowandereeze so far except Snout.
All right, that could be another Empen. That's a lot of levels, so I think it is another Empen. And it looks like we're going to be normal summoning that Stree now. There's not much in his opponent's graveyard. He's just going to be banishing his own Dreaming Town, which will make it more accessible.
Yeah.
Not burying your head in the sand this time, just able to keep moving on.
Right.
Again, you can actually see Floowandereeze, the magnificent map. That is the entire migration cycle of our Floowandereeze, and you can kind of see all the different pinpoints there of where it's gone along its journey. We've actually gotten the full journey here. I mean, this is really what we're hoping, in that Mist Valley Apex Avian, having that full negate there, too.
Right, so Apex Avian now finally on the field, going to be able to stop the Birch. Ryan is just going to want to be able to close this game out. Might not be able to do it just yet because those two bodies are blocking him.
Toucan target trap.
Okay, there's the Toucan, going to be able to add back the banished Dreaming Town that he did this turn, so he's going to be able to reset it, just keep this flow going. Robina is going to be able to normal summon as well off the Toucan effect, and then of course the Stree is going to be able to add itself back to hand.
And there and back again, a Floowandereeze journey.
And here's another tribute summon here for another M-Pen.
Now, the second M-Pen is super important because you cannot just get rid of that first M-Pen and suddenly get your effects in attack mode now. Got to deal with both of them.
But didn't use the ban. Yeah, I know I use this one for sure. Yep, these are good. Okay.
Right, so Eaglin and the Toucan are, I believe, going back to hand. And M-Pen finally going to be able to grab another card here. What are you even looking for? It seems like you pretty much have everything.
Possibly, you know, something to do later.
Oh, this seems like a fine choice. Being to be able to put back some of those cards, just get some draws in as well.
It's interesting, too, because, you know, we've talked about so much in the last couple of formats how important it is to save a little bit of gas in the tank so you have a follow-up play. But Floowandereeze doesn't really need to worry about that. They just go and go and go, but let's see how much further we have to go on this duel.
It looks like a Birch was used in the Birch was used in the main phase, going ahead and able to special summon out that Flame Birch from the deck by sending itself and the Poplar.
Flame Birch, yeah.
And again, yes, you could use that Flamberge to maybe clear the field a little bit, but with Apex Avion and 2 copies of M-Pen, it's going to be very difficult to clear all the rubbish away that keeps that activated effects happening.
All right, so we look like we're going to use the Poplar to put the Ash Blossom back there, which makes sense. You do want to keep as many Snake Eyes, or at least level 1 fires in the graveyard as possible for the Flamberge. But at this point, you could just enter battle phase, attack with the Avian. Yeah, like you know, you just have another defending body here, but you can attack with the Avian over the Flamberge, negate the Flamberge, and just keep the game going. And you have the Dreaming Town to reset up the Avian at any point.
We're in the battle phase now. Apex Avian will go ahead and get rid of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Looks like we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to Flamberge.
Just to your hit, yeah, thank you.
I feel like you're always going to stop this here. Is there any reason to give that to your opponent?
I don't really feel like... I understand you can put the Apex Avion back out quickly, so it might as well go ahead and put that back to your hand and negate.
56 ones.
Leaving Xu with very few resources now. I believe that's 1 card in the hand. Going to be drawing into 2. Not going to be a whole lot that you could draw into in this position.
Yep. Well, especially given the setup that we have here, it's going to be very difficult, and it would not be hard to get the Apex Avion back in the field. So it's 1 card in the hand, but it's 1 card in the hand that's going to have to play through all of that. And then whatever you draw, well, we'll see.
Opting to put back the Eaglin as well as the Toucan, so keeping the Stree potentially being one of the stronger ones to be able to lead with, getting rid of an interruption from the graveyard immediately. Another heads-up play there. Oh, it looks like we have summoned 5 times, though. Honestly, I think this is okay.
Not too bad, not too bad. I think he can certainly get back in the duel, especially with all those set trap cards. He has additional ways to get back in, but going to calculate here.
4 of them plus Robina.
Judges just verifying all the 5 summons.
And then M-Pen. And Apex, yes.
Yeah, there were several monsters summoned, even if they were normal summoned.
Again, it's a great deck. You don't have to have multiple special summons to put multiple monsters on the board.
I will say, though, this Nibiru token, this Primal Being token, rather, is much larger than that Nibiru.
Oh, very, very big.
When you have no other cards, it can be quite threatening.
82.
And if you decide to commit another card, all those birds come back from the hand. There is a Robina banish, so you know the full chain is still available.
Absolutely. Now, it's one of those things where, you know, this duel could end fast, it could end short, but the great news with Floowandereeze, they always have a way back in. It's almost like a full power. Various other decks with... Oh! We interrupt this broadcast for anti-spell fragrance.
I don't think it was necessary, but Ryan just wanted to make sure that this game is over.
Well, I mean, it would be a bad time for a change of heart. Turn that to attack mode and go in. Don't have to worry about that with an anti-spell fragrance. Also going to see our Dreaming Town activated.
Yeah, I believe Shunping attempted to pass turn, but he's going to just opt to keep playing here with the Dreaming Town. I don't think it's quite necessary. I think the Nibiru token would be able to attack over the Nibiru for that 2,500 points of damage.
Certainly would, but wants to go ahead and keep committing cards to the board. Going to go ahead and use Stree.
M-Pen gets banished.
It looks like Stree is going to be going after his own graveyard to keep resources available. So he's able to tribute now with your opponent's card because of the spell. You remember his name again.
Oh, it's going to be the Sunset that you're looking at over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I not think you keep Niven against me.
Unexplored wins.
I look forward for that amazing ring that they're looking for.
Looks like Shunping is going to take the lead here.
Stand by. Stand by. Shifter.
There it is!
Oh, there it is. I love the smile, by the way. Like, he knew it was there. Like, stand by. And there it is. We are not going to see any cards going to the graveyard.
At least not for a little while.
No movement.
That's still a strong start here. You're going to be able to get access to Snake Eye Poplar. And I don't think it's immediately done for the Snake Eye deck when you get hit with something along the lines of Dimensional Shifter,
no,
because you have access to Temple.
Exactly. We talked about this earlier in the broadcast, that no duelist gets this far and just loses to a single card, right? If you know that Shifter obviously is strong against your deck, you've formulated different play lines that you can make just through that. And so we're seeing that exactly now as we go ahead and go from Snake Eye Ash, adding the Snake Eye Poplar, and using its effect to special summon it from the hand.
It looks like Xu also plays a copy of Sinful Spell, or Snake Eye Charge, right? The quick play spell?
Oh, that's right, that's right. And that is really cool about Shunping's deck, because he's running all these different Snake Eye and Sinful Spoils looks that we haven't seen from some of the other players. Just showing a little bit of creativity there. And we haven't seen that card you were hinting at earlier. I don't know if this will be the duel for it, but if we do get to see it, that would be pretty exciting.
It looks like it's going to just opt for the Divine Temple here, keep it safe, going to be able to put something else in the Spell and Trap zone to be able to bring up as soon as Ryan starts playing.
So it looks like we're going to go ahead and Link Summon, unfortunately banishing the Poplar for a Link Karibo.
Not the end of the world for the Poplar. It can come back with the effect of Snake Eye Oak later. Oh, and we do have the Parallel Exceed.
Ooh.
Now, this is where I'm talking about, like, in order to counter something along the line of Dimensional Shifter, you could play something like number 41 Baguska.
Oh, you absolutely could. But I wonder if we're going to see an Infernal Flame Banshee again.
I guess that gets access to Birch as well, so you have several layers of interface. Or you just go straight into an IP Masquerena here.
All right, 50-50. It's one or the other.
Well, okay, at that point, if you're overlaying, I think it's the Banshee.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could have a fancy way of setting his materials. Could be a showman.
Yeah. Okay.
At this point, we have enough bodies represented to maybe potentially go into an Appaloosa as well. Really hoping that Ryan doesn't have anything to follow up with the Dimension Shifter here. Looks like we'll be grabbing that Birch.
So cool to see Infernal Flame Banshee. I know we've talked about it quite through the broadcast, but it's true that, like, you have other ways into your Pyro monsters, and that's a great example.
You have 5 and under 4.
Oh, it looks like he did open that copy of the Silvera. Not going to be useful without Diabellstar on the field.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you think it's going to come up that the Snake Eye monsters are significantly stronger than the Floowandereeze monsters with the temples on the field?
They are. You know, I've been playing a lot of Snake Eye on Master Duel, and I love Divine Temple for that reason, because it is a little weird. Sometimes you do find yourself in a situation where maybe you don't need to make the Flamberge or any of the other combo monsters. You can really just assault them with level 1 fire monsters.
1100 is a huge boost. That's probably the biggest boost any field spell's ever given.
Wetlands, right? Wetlands has the water boost for 1200, doesn't it?
But just, okay, think about comparing Wetlands to Temple.
Okay, you're right. We were just doing raw numbers, but it is true that Divine Temple of the Snake Eye is an incredible card. Wetlands is just a good card.
Yeah.
Banshee's going to be able to activate its effect when it's banished, summon itself back. Dark is going to be able to take the Dimension Shifter here. I'm surprised at how, I'm honestly impressed at how she has been able to play without having to use his graveyard at all.
Again, you do not get this far without having a game plan for when one of your mechanics is locked out, right? There's so many different things that are in this game, whether it's the graveyard, the hand, the banishment, etc. But when one of those gets cut off, you cannot fold the duel, right? You can't just say, I surrender. And this is what Shunping's doing as he summons another Snake Eye and combines them, assumedly for another Link monster.
I think maybe an IP Masquerena? Yep.
Yep, sure.
It looks like this is going to be approaching the end of Xu's turn here. Going to be able to set that one. I think it's just the bluff Silvera right now, unless there is a way to magically put a Diabellstar on the field for Shunping.
Well, the deck's certainly powerful, but I don't think that is going to be in the cards for Shunping. Certainly the energy that Ryan had after discarding that Dimension Shifters faded out a little bit, right? He wasn't completely shutting his opponent out of the game, so he's going to have a great Floowandereeze turn. Let's see what he gets after drawing his first card.
Yes.
You want to start with that magnificent map.
I'll do 6 for cost.
Oh, I mean, that's a good way to start, too. I'll accept that.
That could be a magnificent map. Let's see.
Yeah, usually Pot of Prosperity, you know, you sacrifice the ability to end the game that turn because you are only doing half damage, but Floowandereeze isn't really attempting to end the game as soon as it can. It just wants to generate its value as fast as it can. Well, that isn't evenly matched.
Definitely a visible reaction from Shunping and all the great cards there, all the different ways to banish, right? 2 evenly matches there, the Dimensional Fissure we were talking about earlier, a rivalry of warlords.
The thing is, if you are taking that evenly match, you're likely just leaving up an Appaloosa, and you have to deal with it. If you already have access to map as well as one of the birds, that's going to be strong enough. But outside of that, you might have to take something else.
Well, this might be a painful choice, but it seems like he's going for the evenly match. Interesting, they went for the one on the right and decided, no, I want the one on the left.
I'm ready.
I think he likes to, okay.
Battle. Yeah, and battle. Yep.
Yep, opting to leave that Appaloosa on the field here.
Certainly the right pick, though, so every other card's going to get banished face down.
Now that the Oak is banished as well, most players only play one copy of that, so everything banished is going to be banished permanently. Oh, do we have duality now? Can we find the other piece that we need? Oh, that's an Advent. That could get there.
Feels like the Advent's the thing to take. Obviously, the Mist Valley Apex Avion did a lot of work, but...
I don't think you want to start with it. You want to just find it along the way.
Let's put a pop back first, if that's not getting pinched.
Again, great sportsmanship. These duelists definitely have played against each other. They're just happy to be here, but one of them's got to win, so Ryan's got to make his choice on this pot of duality.
So this is 3. So yeah, that's right.
So again, for those in the chat who... Oh.
I think he has 3 other cards in his hand, right? So it's getting a little thin. We've played 3 powerful cards back to back to back at this point. Dimension Shifter, Pot of Prosperity, as well as Pot of Duality. But Ryan's going to have to start actually playing the game himself here.
Yes, those pot cards are great for drawing things, but you do have to play the cards you draw or add to your hand.
Definitely not this. Cool.
Okay, so it's not the Avian. The fact that he's even considering the Prosperity does not bode well. I guess a lone Appaloosa is not going to get the job done at this point, right? He's not going to be ending the game for Shunping if Ryan is forced to pass, so he can perhaps bank on just being able to see another turn.
All right, put the Prosperity back. Wasn't going to save that for a later duel, or later turn, I should say.
A later duel would be interesting. All right, do we see the Advent used immediately, or is he going to attempt to lead off with the normal summon? Okay, yeah, so there's the Advent. Going to be able to banish Impen. So as long as he has one of the more useful normal summons in his hand, like either a Ravina or an Eaglin or a Toucan, as long as it's not Stree, he should be able to be off to the races.
Stree certainly would be the worst choice right now, but we'll see what he happened to draw.
Impen. It's not a good one.
Impen might not be the best one, but it's not a bad one. As soon as you get access to Toucan, you're able to add it back, and as soon as that's on the field, the Appaloosa will no longer be doing any work. Oh, well, none of those cards are in the graveyard, actually. They're all banished.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, this has been a very graveyard-free duel. Ryan deciding what he's going to do there. Looks like we got our Robina.
Oh, it looks like another card in his hand is another Advent. That will allow him to keep playing on the following turn here, just making this Appaloosa just a little bit smaller piece by piece.
Sometimes that's really all you can do is just whittle down your opponent's ability to negate your cards.
Shit, I remember.
Oh, so excited there, but
Okay.
got to make sure to mind our manners.
So now if the Rabina's effect is negated, remind me, are you able to access your extra deck now?
Let's take a look at Rabina's effect just so we can
imagine if we didn't activate Pot of Duality class.
True, true. Obviously, we're not special summoning here. But taking a look at Robina, doing our little Yu-Gi-Oh! Judge call here.
Yep. Meanwhile, it looks like we did find a Snake Eye Poplar here, which is going to be able to access most of the engine at this point, given it's unfortunately not going to be able to go into Oak, which is what he needs to generate as many bodies as he will require to put out a Flame Burge, and without any graveyard, it might not be able to do enough with everything gone. Turning
back to the text for Robina, by the way, you can only use each of the following effects of Floowandereeze and Robina once per turn, and cannot special summon during the turn you activate either effect. So if you're activating the effect, if it's the activation's negated, you're okay, but if just the effect is negated, and very many cards do that, then that would not stop it, because again, you would activate it at that turn, and that's a condition, not an effect.
Chilling 1, chilling 2.
But we've got our Yu-Gi-Oh! Judges here to make sure that all that stuff happens fine and fair.
The Poplar is going to be able to push itself back into the Spell Trap zone. Snake Eye Ash is going to be able to add a level 1 fire here. Likely just another Ash, that's all that's really left. Literally, it might be the only thing left at this point. But that is enough to put out a Flame Burge by using the effect of Ash, and maybe that'll be enough to get Shunping through this game.
It is true that while Robina by itself really isn't that threatening, if any of those face-down cards can get you back in the game, at least that means that you'll have that banished and kind of can begin your Floowandereeze turn from there, regardless of who turned it is.
So let's think about damage at this point. Remember, Ryan is at actually 8,500 points of life because of the Advent.
That is true. The Advent does give you an additional 500, and we are not getting quite close to time, but that 500 life points could be important. Our judges are likely keeping track of that, but it is true that once you activate that, for those of you at home watching, the 8,000 on the screen should be 8,500.
The Appaloosa is, I believe, at 16 after using one of its effects.
That is correct. Shunping earlier said in the duel that it was a 3-material Appaloosa. So using one, that would bring it down to 1,600.
All right. How do we find the How do we find 8,500 in this turn?
I mean, the game is built around 8,000, so you would have to just put a little bit extra on the board. Might be time for something like Amblo Whale, right, going all the way in, but obviously, you know, you've still got to get those base combos out. So, oh, looks like we're banishing.
All right, so this is a play I expected. Flamebird likely used its effect, targeting the Robina to put it in the Spell and Trap Zone. Advent, chained, and banishing the Robina as cost, but met with an Ash Blossom as well. So really limiting Ryan's resources, putting him on Drawbird.
Definitely has to draw a bird, just has to pray for it. And we've had various decks, you know, that if they get that one card they need, the entire turn changes.
Yep.
Flamebird's going to be able to put back that Poplar here, just going to be able to generate more resources for Xu as soon as Ryan is not unable to get his engine going. But there is one set remaining. I wonder what it could be.
Ooh.
We are drawing here. A lot of damage taken, but all it takes is one normal summon here to get Ryan off to the races.
Well, hopefully we get to see that face-down card. Took a little check at it, thinking about activating it. Take a look at the graveyard here.
As long as it's not Robina, I think. As long as you're not drawing Robina, you should be fine. That's a great one.
Oh, yeah.
Sure,
we're going to go ahead and negate.
We're going to cut off the Robina here. Okay, that maybe it isn't that great of a one. Because you can get a Tribute Summon, but it's not going that far. You can at least crash with the Appaloosa now, but I don't think you have that much life to work with anymore.
And it is a little scary. Obviously, you know, we've seen turns where people have to use their battle phase to clear a monster from the field that can negate card effects, but it doesn't usually turn that duelist's way, right? That's kind of a symbol that you're not able to play through their strategy, so you just have to push through it and then give them another turn. And sometimes giving your opponent another turn is your last turn.
Ryan really considering his last set card here. The only unknown in this game at this moment.
Really thinking about. I got a little bit of a peek. It definitely looks like it's a spell card.
Yeah, we're going to crash with the Appaloosa here, 800 to 800. The Eaglin will be banished by its own effect.
Good. End phase.
Yep. Flamebird's going to be able to use its effect to bring out the Poplar during the end phase. Going to be able to grab another copy of, or okay, no, we're going for the Snake Eye Chase.
Again, Shunping has been using so many of, like, basically the entire package of cards, right? Not just relying on the strongest of them, but also the ones that are versatile in different situations, and it may pay off here.
I mean, at this point, you have Flamebirds and a monster, and you have targets in the graveyard, so you can just...
just doing it.
Put Diabell into the back.
Yep, it places Diabellstar in the Spell and Trap Zone. And then during the end phase, you can banish it to actually move something from the Spell and Trap Zone up into the Monster Zone.
Certainly when we talked about Crystal Beasts earlier, I think you have a certain promise that we're honoring, right? Little crystal promise, because it's true. We haven't seen this back and forth of monsters from the Spell and Trap Zone to the main Monster Zone since, well, Centurion, right? But this is a lot more active than that.
Centurions even are so interesting because they're continuous traps.
They are continuous traps, and there's certain situations where that could come up.
Oh, and we have the Snake Eye Ash as well. We knew that because it was added off the previous Snake Eye Ash. I don't think it has any targets left in the deck to add. But we are able to go into Nightmare Phoenix, really clear that last unknown resource here.
Time to find out what it is. Doesn't want to discard it, but has to do it.
Discards the Flamebirds. The Flamebirds just live at this point, so that's another extra value.
Yeah, we got it. Amen.
And that's the game.
Ryan will concede here. It was a Dreaming Town, not able to get those